Some stories are written in steel and concrete, but when you dig a little deeper, they're really about people. And today, we're going to dive into one of those stories, about a power plant that's so much more than just a machine churning out megawatts. It's a story about national ambition, some truly incredible engineering, and maybe most importantly, a promise kept to a community. This is the story of the Narowal Power Plant. So, to really get what the Narowal plant is all about, we've got to rewind the clock. We need to go back to this single, really urgent question that Pakistan was facing in the late 1980s. How do you power an entire country when it feels like the lights are about to go out for good? And that really kicks off the first part of our story. See, this wasn't just some technical problem for engineers to solve. Nope. This was a full-blown national crisis in the making, and it desperately needed a spark, a totally new idea. Okay, so take a look at this. This really puts the problem in black and white. You've got the country's demand for energy just exploding, right? Growing at 12% a year. But the supply? It was lagging way behind at just 7%. And that gap? That wasn't just a number on a chart. That meant real people in homes without power. It meant entire factories just sitting there, completely idle. And the cost? The cost of that gap was just staggering. We're talking an estimated $1 billion lost from the national GDP every single year. So, yeah, this was way past being just an inconvenience. This was a full-blown economic emergency, and it needed a seriously bold solution, fast. So, what was the solution? Well, it was a totally new model for Pakistan at the time. The government decided to invite the private sector to help build the country's energy future. And this is where we see the rise of what are called independent power producers, or IPPs. Out of this, one key player emerges, the Hub Power Company, or HUBCO. And you're going to want to remember that name, because they become the real driving force behind this whole story. All right, that brings us to part 2, building the machine. This is where the ambition, the plans, all of it meets some incredible engineering to forge this brand new powerhouse right in the heart of Punjab. And get this, they moved unbelievably fast. The main agreement was signed in late 2008. By 2010, construction was already finished. And by April of 2011, the plant was officially online, pumping power into the national grid. That kind of timeline, it just screams urgency, doesn't it? But the scale of this challenge was just immense. Think about it. This wasn't just about pouring some concrete and putting up a building. They had to transport 11 massive 255-ton engines all the way from Germany. They literally had to reinforce local bridges just to handle the weight to get them to the site. This was a massive national logistical operation before a single watt of power was even generated. So, how does this beast of a machine actually work? It's pretty ingenious, actually. So it starts with those 11 huge diesel engines making power. Simple enough, right? But here's the really clever part. All that intense exhaust heat, instead of just letting it go to waste, the system captures it. It uses that heat to create steam. And then, this is the best part, that steam drives another turbine, which generates what they call bonus power, all without using a single extra drop of fuel. It's basically free energy from waste heat. And the result of all that brilliant engineering, a net efficiency of around 45%. Now, that number might not sound crazy high, but in the world of power generation, it's a huge deal. It made the Narowal plant one of the most cost-effective and efficient power plants of its kind in the entire country, period. But, like any good story, the hero has to face a trial, and this one was a big one. So welcome to part 3, surviving a massive debt crisis that threatened to shut the whole thing down for good. The villain in this part of our story has a name, circular debt. Now, it sounds complicated, but think of it like this. It's a massive, tangled chain reaction. The government-owned power companies can't pay Narowal for the electricity they're buying. So Narowal doesn't have the cash to pay its fuel suppliers. It's this vicious cycle, a system-wide cash flow nightmare. And the numbers here are just mind-boggling. By 2013, the plant was owed over 19 billion Pakistani rupees. Just try to wrap your head around that. Imagine trying to run any business, big or small, when your single biggest customer owes you that kind of money. How do you even keep the lights on? The impact was, honestly, devastating. Without cash to buy fuel, the plant was sometimes forced to run at just 27% of its full capacity. Can you picture that? This incredible, state-of-the-art machine, this powerhouse we just talked about, sitting mostly idle, not because of a mechanical failure, but simply because the money wasn't flowing. It's heartbreaking. But here's the thing. HUBCO did not give up. They dug in and made two absolutely critical moves. First, they did some financial shuffling, incorporating the plant as its own subsidiary to get a better handle on the money. But then, in 2016, they made a really bold call. They decided to stop relying on foreign operators and handed over all the operations and maintenance to their own in-house Pakistani team. They basically Pakistanized the expertise, betting on their own people. And that decision, that bet on local talent, well, that brings us to the final and I'd say triumphant chapter of this story. This is where we see the plant's true legacy, and believe me, it turned out to be about so much more than just megawatts. When you really boil it down, the plant's legacy has two sides. On one hand, for the national grid, it's an industrial lifeline. It provides that stable, baseload power that Punjab's industries and farms desperately need. But on the other hand, and this is where the story gets really special, for the local community, it's become an engine of real social transformation. And look, this isn't just some corporate PR talk. We're talking about real, tangible things. HUBCO funded an entire school campus through the Citizens Foundation. They provide uniforms, books, and even transportation for hundreds of local kids who might not have gotten an education otherwise. And in an area where getting clean drinking water was a huge problem, they installed reverse osmosis plants, which directly improve the health of the whole community. And hey, remember that big decision to bring all the expertise in-house? To bet on the local team? Well, this right here, this is the payoff. Just last year, in 2023, a really critical alternator failed. It was a major problem. But a team of local Pakistani technicians fixed it, all by themselves. That was a massive win, and it proved, without a doubt, that the investment in homegrown talent had truly come full circle. So it kind of brings us back to where we started, doesn't it? The story of the Narowal plant shows us that, yeah, a power plant can be more than just a machine. It can be a symbol of national resilience, a hub for homegrown talent, and a genuine source of hope for an entire community. And it kind of proves that sometimes the most important power a plant generates isn't electricity at all.